And we're live.
All
Hey, how
right.
is everybody doing tonight? It's Jay. That's Brandon. We're joined tonight by OTR Paranormal. We got Jean, Anna, and Edward. Wait, Edward down there.
Yes, right here.
Everything's in reverse. So tell me, what is the story behind you guys' group? Do you guys like all friends before you guys started a group, or did you guys start the group then became friends? Like,
well, actually, Ed started the group first, and it was kind of a funny meeting. Was that a week before Halloween? I think we met, Ed. We actually met out in Fort Myers, I think, probably a week before Halloween. I was bouncing around in a Day of the Dead costume, and
nice.
Ed was giving a tour or a guide, I think.
I was actually taking two possible trainees around on a mini tour of
nice.
downtown Fort Myers.
And I recognized some of the equipment that I use. And I said, hey, wait a minute, what are you up to?
Hi, I see you got ghost hunting equipment. I also have ghost hunting equipment. Do you want to be friends?
But, to Ed's credit, I'm dressed like a lunatic because I was, I guess it was more like a voodoo priestess kind of Day of the Dead costume. I had on like a top hat, my face painted, and like this huge dress. And he didn't run away screaming. So he still hasn't run away screaming.
Little as you know, I used to play in the SCA, so it's like I'm used to costumes all the time.
Right. That's awesome.
Right. It is cool.
Was that like, what did you end up doing that night?
I took my two trainees around. There's like an old haunted ghost tour that goes through downtown Fort Myers.
Right.
And I was just kind of letting them run around with the equipment, seeing what they would do and how well they would fit in with the way that I want things done.
Right on.
And, it didn't work out, but I wound up getting better teammates out of it. So.
Yeah, heck yeah. Hey, it's a win-win situation at the end, He found out. I mean, I used to, when I was in a group and whatnot, I used to have, we'd have, trainees come along with us, and I was the main one. I'd be like, no, they don't fit in. But one of the guys that was in my group, he'd always want to let everybody in the group. I'm like, no, we have community, Man. But anyways, has you guys been affected by this coronavirus at all? With the investigations wise?
It is.
Yeah, we had a lot of places get shut down on us.
Yeah, we did too, man.
Yeah.
It's been a crazy year this year. I mean, I've only gone on 3 investigations this year, and usually it's 1 or 2 a month.
True.
And it's not just the investigations. A lot of what we do is the research side of it. So the libraries are shut down, the archaeological societies are shut down, the historical societies are shut down. We can't even fill our time with the research. If it's not online, we don't have access to it.
And so many of our team members are involved in the restaurant and bar industry. They've been out of work. So they just have no means to do anything. It's I make good money, but I can't afford to pay for everybody to go everywhere.
Right. I mean, it gets big expensive. We went to Waverly Hills, and it was wow, but it was worth it, I thought. Then we've been to Trans Allegheny, I've been to Sweet Spring Sanitarium, and a couple other places. It gets a little bit pricey after a while, but you want the best of the best, The only thing that sucks about paying for investigations like that is when you go, you pay all this money for this investigation, and then find out it's really not that haunted. You don't have that urge. You know what I'm saying? The feeling you get in the butt pit your stomach, somebody's watching or something like that. And now, do you guys do
$300 a head is kind of pricey to go wander around following somebody.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, we rented whatchamacallit. We got Sweet Springs for $750 for the night. We ended up sleeping there and everything like that. It was pretty cool. I mean, the best part about it, we had a door slam on us, and it was all caught on tape and everything like that. It was
nice.
Phenomenal. And we had a hell of an EVP afterwards, where it was caught up clear as day on my EVP recorder. It's don't be afraid. I was no way.
I was all set up to go to the Battleship Texas before that refinery there in Houston blew up.
Oh wow!
And it ruined everything.
Yeah, I was a week away from the St. Augustine Lighthouse, and that got shut down. So there's
not one thing; it's another.
Yeah. Ain't that the truth, man? I can't wait till like this whole stuff goes away. I mean, hopefully in November.
Fingers crossed.
Oh, I hope so.
Well, Florida officially today lifted the coronavirus restriction, so everything is back open.
Oh, in Virginia, it's been open for a little while now. We still have to wear like face mask everywhere, but it ain't too bad. It wasn't as bad as like, oh, you got to be like so far apart and everything like that. But like the gyms and restaurants and stuff like that, they've been open since like the first week in July.
Governor DeSantis removed everything. There's no masks, no 6 feet. It's all. We're back to being wide open and having fun.
The restaurants are a lot of fun.
Well, just in time for the tourist season to start. So.
Yeah, got to make your money.
Yeah.
That's at the end of the day.
Gotta keep the state running.
Yep, man, that's God's honest truth. I mean, but that is what it is, you know.
Right.
So, what all got you guys into paranormal, the world itself? Each one of you guys.
Oh,
whoever wants to go first.
Well, Ed's the boss.
Go ahead, Jean, you're the pretty one.
Me? Okay.
Jean's also my second in command. She's when we're on investigation, if I'm not there telling somebody to do something, it's her job.
Right on.
There's really no particular event that got me into it. I grew up in a haunted house and I ended up inheriting it.
Oh wow.
And the strange part is that the activity changed and altered and shifted over time, which is what I guess led me to the investigative side. I'm very scientific. I'm very rationally minded. I need explanations for everything. So I'm always looking for the science behind it. I always need to know, why does something happen? And growing up, there were, I heard from my grandparents, it was my grandparents' house. I heard from them that there were people walking around, that they would see people, that they would see a little boy, things would move around. When I moved in, things would actually get torn off of walls. I was scratched. I had people appear and disappear right in front of me. I had voices in my ear, but it wasn't consistent. So it led me to want to investigate, why does something happen the way that it does? So I'm very strict with my team, with my investigations. Things have to be debunked first. Things have to be approached scientifically. And that's pretty much been influenced from my past. And I carry that forward through my research and into my investigations.
That's awesome, honestly. Like, it's always good to go in there, debunk it first before actually proving it. Make sure there's not a logical explanation. And that's what I usually do when I go into places.
It actually helps a lot when I'm speaking to people. I tell them what I do, and first they kind of laugh.
Yeah.
They go, okay, you really believe in that stuff? And I say, they say, well, do you believe in ghosts? And I say, I can't answer that until science defines a ghost.
Right. I mean,
it's the truth. Science has not defined what a ghost is yet.
Right.
And until we do, I can't answer whether or not I believe it.
Right. And I personally believe because, all right, here it is. Like, if you believe in God or in Jesus or any type of religion where people pass, right? How can you believe in that but not into spirits left behind? Because it's like Earth is like somewhat sort of like purgatory. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You have like people that are left behind with like unfinished business or didn't go face the white light type of thing, you know?
There are some theories out there that we currently are purgatory. Our physical beings are purgatory, and perhaps we are passing through that into the next, I guess, phase.
Yeah, next stage.
And there's also There's also theories out there from physicists that ghosts are actually simply visual anomalies caused by a glitch in the time-space continuum.
Right. I mean, I heard like they've even proven like everybody has an energy about them, and sometimes your energy gets left behind.
The Rhine Research the Rhine Research Center right now is looking into studies using biophotons, which is basically life energy.
That's awesome. So what about you, Edward? How'd you get into this?
Well, first I want to address a question that Christina Souza asked.
Yes.
She asked, are any of the guests have gifts such as being a medium or an empath? Technically speaking, all human beings have a gift to one degree or another. Some of us have a lot of it and we can use it to a great degree. Others, it barely tickles the surface. So everybody is gifted to one degree or another. But we do have people on the team that are in tune with their gifts, and they use them while we're on investigation.
Right on. So, what was your background in the paranormal world? Did you grow up with a haunted house? Did you?
Actually, my background's a little bit different. Gene's already starting to smile. I've been pretty much surrounded by the paranormal my entire life, and I guess my first discovery of it is when I was visiting my great grandmother in Jersey City. She lived in one of these old brownstone buildings in a basement apartment, and when I was exploring, I mean, I was really young. I was kind of a grasshopper back then, probably like maybe about 3 or 4 years old. But I still remember going into her back room that had a curtain hanging over it, and I pulled back the curtain, and I remember seeing this little cauldron that she had in there. And of course, I had no idea what it was, and they scooted me out of the room before I got to play around with anything that I shouldn't. And you're welcome, Christina. But I found out later on that my grandmother was a practicing witch. She was a healer, and she would have people come to her apartment, and she would do what they call wax dipping. And depending on how the wax came out, she would read it, tell them what their ailment was, and prescribe treatment. And then from there on, I always had something going on around me. I mean, I had precognitive visions when I was a little kid. I mean, I could remember sitting in the back of the car telling my dad to hit the brakes because I had visualized a car coming in front of us and missing in front of the car. And because I yelled and said, stop, he hit the brakes on the car, and we just narrowly missed a collision.
Oh, that's crazy.
And then we lived in an old farmhouse in upstate New York, and there I actually had my first vision of an angel. And of course, it wasn't a full body like us. It was just a big glowing orb over top of what I interpreted as a snake, but it was still there. And then, of course, then I've seen UFOs. The only thing I haven't done is seen a Bigfoot. I'm still chasing that one yet. So
me too. But it's out there.
We've actually got an expedition planned. We're going to go out. We're going to do some squatch hunting.
Quickly off topic, really quickly. Did you watch our episode about we were talking about conspiracy theories? And one of the conspiracy theories that we brought up was Bigfoot actually being an alien that can have predator type of thing, where it can make himself invisible. Come back. That's why
I've heard theories about where it's supposed to be something to do with aliens. There was another one when I was on. What show was that I was on? I can't remember the name of it. The one that Jason Hawes does.
Okay.
J.B. Hansen and Beyond Reality. That's what it was.
Oh, Beyond Reality.
Yeah.
When I was on that show, we were talking about Bigfoot being a phase shifting creature.
Right.
And, somebody was actually convinced that it was, and it's like, all right, it's a good theory. You can theorize that it's a phase shifting creature, but you still have no scientific proof to prove that this actually happened. You have no measurements, you have no instrumentation on it, so it's like you cannot say for definite that that's what it is.
Right.
That's where I get in a lot of trouble. I get in a lot of trouble with a lot of investigator groups because, they want to say evidence, and it's like, well, no, because evidence is conclusionary. What we have is compelling data.
Right.
And you can't say for a fact that Bigfoot has 2 sets of vocal cords because nobody's caught one.
Yeah.
Nobody's performed an autopsy, so you can't say that it has 2 sets of vocal cords.
Yeah, definitely.
Everybody's making conclusions about the paranormal when we have no basis in fact.
No. I mean, you can run into theories and whatnot about why stuff happens, but some of the stuff can be logically explained. Some of the stuff, you cannot explain. And that's where it's going to be left at,
Right.
But, Anna, what was you're fairly new to the paranormal world?
I am. I'd say probably the first experience I ever had, I was pretty little. It was before 10, so I don't know, maybe 6 or 7. And I was at a friend's house who, there was an older couple that had lived in the house, and one of them, I believe it was the older gentleman, passed away, in the house. And then later on, his wife passed away. And, it was a house that was set up like, it was 2 stories. So there was like a finished basement that they used like for laundry and stuff like that. And then the floor that you lived on, and he was, disabled. So they had an elevator in. And so there was always things like the elevator would randomly like go but it was, it could be electrical. You don't really think about that. But, when I was over there one night spending the night, her mom had asked us to go in her room and get something. So we walked down the back, we walked down the hallway, we turned into the room, and sitting on her dresser was a China doll on like a square base. And we took like 2 steps into the room, and the China doll fell over and rolled off the dresser. And had it just fallen off or been around base, I wouldn't be so convinced, but it was square. They don't roll. Like, something has to be pushing it. Something has to be manipulating it. No. So we left. We shut the door. We did not get what she asked us to get. And we wouldn't go back to her room for like 2 weeks. We were like, no, we're good. We're fine. We'll be over here. It's okay. But that's kind of one thing that's always stuck with me. But like, I never, I guess, really, really thought about it very much at the time. And then as I've gotten older, I've kind of been very curious about a lot of things, and I sort of approach things the way that Jean does. Like the very first time I went with them anywhere, we went to the local college, and they had Jean had told me that there was a Civil War soldier that somebody had seen, and my first question was, but why was there a Civil War soldier here? Because I didn't know there was any history of that in the area. So for me, it's a lot of why. Like, why would that be a thing that happened here? Like, okay, fine if you experience this dip, but can we make sure there's nothing else that made you experience it? And I think for me, one of the things is my mom experienced something that was like very big for me. After my grandmother, cardinals kind of tend to symbol visiting loved ones, and after my grandmother passed away, my mom for a long time never felt like my grandmother was around. When my grandfather had passed away, she always felt like she could feel him. But I remember her specifically saying to me, I don't feel Granny anywhere. I don't feel like she's around. I don't feel her. And the very first time she got any indication was she saw the very first cardinal she saw, which was also my grandmother's favorite bird, was a dead cardinal in the grill of a truck. And my mom had always felt, after my grandmother passed away, that my grandmother was mad at her. So that was like her first indication of, all right, Granny, like I hear you, you're pissed. And then there was another time that she was living in a house that she felt was very, like, there had always been activity there. And even like her mother-in-law who lived there before, there was activity there. Like they always felt you could smell like her husband's cigars after he had passed away, or she'd feel somebody sit down on the bed next to her with dip. So my mom was in the bedroom one day, and I don't remember what happened, but my mom wasn't very, like, it was not a good time. And she said she remembers the bed dipping next to her, and clear as day she heard my grandmother say, "You made your bed, now you lie in it."
Oh, wow.
And she had never felt my grandmother around in any way. And that was like between the dead cardinal and then that, she was like, all right, I hear you. And it was another probably year before she felt my grandmother around in a positive light. And now like she feels her and it's different. But for me, my mom's also very scientific and my mom's very, proof and facts. And for her she was like clear as a bell in my ear. I heard my mother's voice say, you made your bed, now you lie in it. And so for me, for someone who I know to be like very logical and very scientific, to say that, I was like, wow, like that's a big deal. So
yeah, definitely. That's really cool. A couple of the questions that people asked, let me scroll back up to it. I put it on the screen for a little bit. Obviously the bat one, that's a funny story. Our last investigation, we went on an investigation together. We walked in there and there was a bat flying around. It was insane. You're like, whoa, that's a bat. Oh boy. But anyways, Christine asked, I'm going to put this back on the screen here. And has anyone ever experienced a spiritual attachment? Whoever wants to answer, choose this one first.
Well, I know for a fact that Jennifer, who's not with us tonight, she's had a spiritual attachment, and she's had one. I think she still has an ongoing one, if I remember right. She says she still has an ongoing one, but she's not interested in getting rid of it. I've had several spiritual contacts. I wouldn't actually say an attachment. Probably the most intense one that I ever had was back when I was in the casual squadron in the Air Force, and I actually walked in onto a couple of guys that were doing some kind of religious thing that they, something to do with their sect, Christian sect they had to do. And I walked in, and I thought the one kid was having a seizure of some kind. So I reached down, I grabbed a hold of him, tried to hold him down. Meanwhile, he's babbling away, and I'm trying to stick like something in his mouth because I'm afraid he's going to swallow his tongue or whatever. Yeah. And he finally told me no, that he was having what was called a Holy Ghost experience. And after everything was all over, I remember standing there, and I could actually see like nail wounds in the palms of my hands and in my feet. I was asking him, what's going on here, because it was something that I've read about stigmata before, but I've never experienced it personally.
Right.
And they told me this. Well, you're just having a Holy Ghost burn, and they commenced with their praying and everything else. The next thing I know, I'm going through the whole crucifixion experience, bleeding out of my forehead, out of my side, out of my hands, and my feet, and it was very painful, very intense, very confusing. And later on, the next day after everything had settled down, the three of us were actually brought into the commander's office, and we were actually put under a gag order. We were not supposed to talk about it at all at the time. Yeah. And shortly afterwards, all three of us got discharged. And, I never talked about it because I was never really comfortable with it for years and years, because when I went home and I talked to a religious figure that I respected and looked up to, and when I told him the entire story, he looked me dead in the eye. He told me I was demon possessed, turned his back, and walked away from me. So I since then I've always I've had a little bit of a problem with Christianity and Bible thumping Christians. But from there I went on, and I went on a religious quest, and I did a lot of studying and researching, which brought me deeper into exploring the paranormal and the various different fields within it. So that's the closest I ever come to a spiritual attachment.
Oh, no kidding. That's great. Wild. Now, how about you, Jen or Anna? Have you guys ever had a spiritual attachment?
I would say no for me.
I've had relatives that have stayed around a lot longer than they needed to. I don't know if that's considered a spiritual attachment. So I don't think so.
It just popped into my head because you guys had Heidi on not too long ago.
Yes.
And
she's awesome. She's coming on again next week.
I actually won a free reading with her, which was kind of neat. But she actually described somebody that she said was attached to me and has been since my birth, and it's apparently a relative. We did well, she drew him out, and then I used her description. I did an artist sketch of the face, and went to my relatives and says, "Does this look like anybody?" And they've actually come to the conclusion that it's off of my mother's side of the family, somewhere down the line. So we're still comparing photographs to figure out who it is.
Oh wow! Yeah, Heidi's awesome. We had her a guest. Is it about 2 episodes ago? But she's coming on next week to talk about UFOs. Yeah. So, should be a good time.
We're actually working on getting out there and doing a collaboration with her on the UFOs.
Yeah.
So
that's
looking
awesome.
forward to that.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you, Christina.
No, I mean, I know personally I've had like gone to investigations and stuff like that where it wasn't a good place. I mean, we went to a cult site, Brandon and I and a couple friends. We went there, and I'll send you the audio we got from it.
Great question.
Anna's back. Okay, you disappeared there for a second.
Sorry, my bad.
It's all good. But you'll hear like some sort of ritual chant, like a chant type of thing. And like I had horrific dreams for like 3-4 weeks straight after that. And I was like,
oh, really?
Yeah, it was like really scary for a little while. But here we go.
That's a great question. That's a great question. And I want to tackle that one because I spend so much time rolling my eyes at people who go, look, I got orbs. And this isn't just from paranormal research point of view. This is because my husband is a professional photographer and he runs the Southwest Florida Photographers Society.
Yeah.
So this is not just my point of view. This is also his work. There's dust particles. In any photo, you can get orbs a number of ways. You can get dust particles. You can get moisture particles. You can get lens flare. So lens flare is caused, they're dots that are caused by light bouncing back into the lens. And usually that has to do with a certain trajectory of the light and the way that it comes back into the lens. And you can usually tell, and that one is a little bit harder. You can usually tell though by the light source, if there's a light source in the picture itself. So if you're taking a picture during the day and there's a light source in the picture, you can usually tell from the angle the picture is being taken, draw a direct line to the light source. If there's dots in between there, that's lens flare. The water molecules, water moisture in the air, usually the orbs that are caused by that have almost a rainbow effect, but they're dark circles that are in the picture that have a rainbow effect in the nucleus of the orb itself. And then you have the dust particles. They're also the same thing. They're dark orbs that have almost a black and white coloration to them. But real ectoplasmic orbs, which they really are a thing, and this is something I've been looking into recently, they may be tied to a phenomenon, not so much tied, maybe even related to a phenomenon called ball lightning that meteorologists, scientists right now are also baffled by. But ectoplasmic orbs themselves in pictures actually emit a light. They will be glowing. They will be the light source. So they're not going to be dark. They're going to be, sometimes they have tails because they'll be appearing to move in the image themselves. So they're actually very rare to get a picture of an ectoplasmic orb.
Right.
But when you do, it's usually very obvious that it's giving off its own light source and it is moving. So that is an excellent question. And I spend so much time rolling my eyes at people on TV for the orb question.
Right.
And something else with orbs, especially in video, a spiritual orb will actually move with intelligence. Very similar to like when a fly goes through, it makes a nice big zigzag motion. A spiritual orb will also make a same pattern, whereas dust orbs will all move in a big en masse direction.
Yes.
Depending on where the wind current is. Even though you can't feel the wind, there's enough there to move the dust particles through a video. So because you see orbs and they're moving doesn't necessarily mean that they're spiritual.
No. And then you said your battery's low. You got to go off tonight.
I can stay for a little bit longer. It doesn't seem to be dropping too bad, so I just wanted to warn you in case it just decides to all of a sudden run away.
Boom.
We're throwing leg irons on you. You're not leaving.
I'll do my best.
I've seen some places like I've watched a couple of investigations. I'm not going to call them out or nothing like that, but like where you see like they walk into a room and it's like obviously it's wood floors or something like that, and you see orbs everywhere. It's like, bro, it's dust, like type of thing. But I'm going to say whatever. Hey, if they want to believe it, let them do them. You know what I'm saying? It's like let them live their best life.
Right.
Well, typically, if you see it moving in a big mass or a big wave of orbs, I mean, you got to call it for what it is. I mean, I'm not going to be mean to somebody and call you, call you names online or anything, but I will factually tell you, no, you're not seeing an orb, you're seeing dust.
No, I mean, I saw a famous guy. I'm not going to, you know which one I'm talking about, Brandon, but like an experienced, we had an experienced investigator posted a picture, and like this famous investigator copied his picture and like put him on blast. It's like, why, dude? Like,
I saw one
correcting him or like explaining to him like the actual reason behind why it's not an actual orb. Like instead you insult him and like put him down. I think that's so messed up.
Yeah, that's not how you educate.
No.
I did see one very recently where someone's father had passed away, and the day after he died, they saw there was actually a spider web over one of their security cameras that caused an orb. And he was so happy to see his dad coming to visit him in the camera. And that's something you just don't debunk. It's like, that's something you don't debunk because they need to know that there's somebody there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I ain't trying to go out there and hurt me. I'm all about spreading positivity, especially like online where all you see is negativity. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, there's a lot of that.
Honestly, you go on any social media, it's just like everybody just bashing being little keyboard warriors. But that's a whole nother show.
that right there is the science versus religion argument, and it's not worth destroying someone's beliefs.
Exactly. You don't cut people down.
Religion and science can coexist. I mean, both support each other. So
yeah, can't have one without the other.
Right.
Anyways, so what is the most haunted place you guys ever investigated as a team?
Fort Myers Cemetery.
I think that one surprisingly, yes.
That one surprised us all the way around. We were not prepared for any of what happened that night.
Oh, really? What happened?
I thought we were going in to debunk a lot, really.
Yeah. I mean, there's been stories going around about Fort Myers Cemetery, especially about the ghost of a little girl that comes out and plays with people that bring her toys. That's like the most prevalent story that goes around there. And there's another one about a crypt that won't stay sealed shut. It's always opening up. But we got in there and we had all kinds. I mean, I've got a video clip actually of something that we can't explain. It's not a bug. It's not dust. It's not moisture. But something moved back and forth in front of the camera that just doesn't add up to anything.
All right.
I mean, we've compared it to every sample of bug that we can find, and it just doesn't match.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah, me personally, I've only done one cemetery investigation. I went to a place in Elliston, Virginia, where a former slave owner was buried straight up and down to put fear into his slaves from the grave. So I was like, I was really curious if there would be something sort of like, being that type of evil person, I was wondering if there was something like left there, type of thing. I really didn't get too much. I mean, but I really don't believe, like me personally, I don't do cemeteries that much, just because I believe like, the people are going to be where they passed or where they're used to, like if it's like a residual type of thing, or if it's going to be where they feel comfortable. I mean, I know when
we don't expect anything.
Yeah, I mean, I know when I pass, I don't want to be passing like staying in a cemetery. I want to haunt the shit out of my kids.
One of the theories that I put forward about that, because you wouldn't think a cemetery would be haunted because it's just dead bodies. Nobody actually dies in the cemetery.
Right, but they're dying to get in.
They're dying to get in, yeah.
I had to squeeze one in.
You think whatever happens occurs after, the life after death. Whatever happens on the other side of the veil, if you will. Who's to say that they don't live in? They don't exist in community centers like we do with our cities.
Right.
And who's to say that those cities have to line up with where our cities are? They could, it can be just like a half a step off. So, even though the cemetery is where we put dead bodies at, on the other side, that may be like a community center where everybody comes to visit, or a playground where the kids come to play.
Right.
And which brings us back to the spirit box session that we had in there. I think we've got 17 names, Dean?
Consecutively. What we did now, the Fort Myers Cemetery is the oldest cemetery in Southwest Florida. It was established in 1856, and people were, back in the 1800s, the mid 1800s, people would have to ride for hours from all areas of Florida to bury their loved ones there. And it had several burials from the Fort Myers, the actual Fort Myers itself, and also from Fort Harvey during the Seminole Wars, and Fort Dulaney in the even prior to that. Several of the bodies that were buried from the original forts were dug up when the forts were deconstructed and moved to Fort Myers Cemetery. So the children's section is where we decided to start out, because that was what had the most claims. And as soon as we did, it was like we opened a flood channel. I think that these people just had never had the opportunity to communicate before. And it was like we were rushed. And we just started getting name after name after name after name from a variety of voices calling
and repeatedly. And they would repeat. It wasn't just one. It wasn't just one name and an end. They would repeat their names over and over and over again.
Almost like they weren't sure they were heard.
Yeah.
Or maybe
are you guys using like an SB7, or are you guys using like SB11, or?
We have two that we alternate. That we alternate back and forth with, just to make sure that we are make sure that we're getting similar results from different devices. We have the SB7 and we have the Ghost Box.
Oh, nice. I use do you ever use the Ghost Box or a Wonder Box with your SB7
simultaneously?
Yes.
Not really, just because already the sound is hard to hear. It's not something we considered, though.
You guys should try that, because I've done it a couple times and it actually worked out, where it's more proof based. It's if you're getting both the names at the same time on the same, different machines.
We'll probably do that when we go back to when we go back to Fort Myers.
We are going back soon, so that's something definitely we need to try.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's just more proof for yourself where people can't be like, oh, that's just fake. You're just picking up radio frequencies. What most people say, like when you're using like the SB7, you know? I mean, I've removed my antenna off mine and everything like that, just so people can't say my stuff is fake or anything like that, you know?
We actually have Faraday pouches.
All right, on.
So that helps to debunk that part of it, at least.
Yep, we lost Anna.
We lost Anna.
Oh no.
That's too bad.
So
sad panda.
But that helps to debunk that part of it a little bit. My husband actually he's a computer programmer, and he is great with technology, and he's a huge skeptic, like cannot be budged.
Oh,
so
really?
He makes a great, it's great to bounce ideas off of him, because I like to hear what he has to say. And then I say, okay, prove it. And that helps me to be able to address those kinds of concerns before we go mainstream with our evidence or with our data.
That's cool. What are the type of equipment you guys use for most of your investigations?
Oh, suitcases. After every investigation, I think we have something new, don't we, Ed?
Pretty much, yeah. Our financial officer hasn't cracked down on us for spending too much money yet, so.
Who's that?
Lori, but we don't have a budget yet, so.
Our budget is how much we can afford at the time.
Whatever we want to take out of our own pocket.
Yeah.
We have DVR systems. We have GoPros with night vision on them. We have, of course, digital recorders. We have actually the newest REM pods with environmental sensors on them. Yeah. So not only do they detect electromagnetic fields, but they also detect temperature changes.
Right.
We also have we use typical infrared cameras. We have a couple of them we have 4 of them that are like motion sensitive. That they'll just sit and stand by until something goes by, and then they'll click on.
I have to send you a picture, Gene, when we're done. Can I just send it to that OTR Paranormal?
Sure.
It's a picture I've actually caught with. I have a full spectrum camera, and see if you can debunk it, or your husband can debunk it.
I have a full
spectrum video camera, so.
Yeah, I do too. I love it. I mean, depends on what the place I go to. I either I just bring my full spectrum and my EVP recorder. I'll bring my full spectrum, my SB7, and we usually, if I have like my whole group type of thing goes with us, we'll bring the SLS camera, we'll bring a Helk a lot more. But if it's just me by myself, I'm just bringing those two. But it's a pretty cool picture. It's like we got it at a murder scene, but it's also a battlefield. And it's a murder scene that we stumbled upon. Like we went to Hanging Rock Battlefield and in Virginia, and we didn't get nothing. We really didn't get much. We're like, whatever. And I have a really bad back. Been in the military too damn long. So I had to sit down for a little while. And while we're sitting down, I was like, hey, let's just try a SB7 session, It's like, whatever. And as soon as we turn it on, no shit, it starts screaming help. And like you're hearing gunshots and everything like that, and like all this different random stuff, and we're getting names, like all this other stuff, right? So I went home. I'm like really boggled by my mind and everything, and I looked it up, and sure enough, right at that exact same spot back in 1984, there was a double homicide.
Wow!
But I got a really cool picture. It was actually it's like a full thing of a soldier type of thing. It looks just like a soldier. And I didn't see it at the time and stuff like that. So I'll send you the picture of it. Tell me if you can debunk it, okay?
That would be great. Yes. Yes, I'd love to see that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll send it. You get access to it, your account right now, or Edward?
Yeah. Yep.
All right, I'll send it to you right now, man. You guys and Brandon, you can ask him some questions while I'm doing this.
No, your mic is off, Brandon.
Oh, your mic, Brandon.
There he is.
I've got so much background noises around me, so if I go in and out, don't worry, I'll be back. Jay knows all this whole situation, so it's all good.
Yeah, it's all good, man. Don't
But
worry about it.
Jay, I think you've done asked all the good questions in the panel, and now they're all talking amongst themselves, so they're not thinking.
Yeah, I just sent it to you.
We're not that important, are we?
No, we're important. We can have some fun.
According to them, they're not. Who cares? It'll be okay.
All right. So, Gene, when did you first join the group? You said it was a couple years ago. Like, how many investigations have you gone on then with them?
With the group, we've done I think 3 now.
Counting
right?
your fingers and toes.
Yeah, I know. Well, because I have my own team. I do my own work too. So then and Edward does his own. He's always on the road. So I think together as a team, I think we've done 3.
Yes.
But we collaborate a lot basically over the internet.
Right on. And Hensley's asking where you guys are from. You guys are from Fort Myers, Florida. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yep.
So more specifically, I'm in Cape Coral. Edward's in Naples.
I'm in Naples right now. But
nice.
our office address is Fort Myers.
Yeah.
Right on.
That's cool.
You guys get a lot of good investigations down there?
They do.
You guys get a lot of good investigations down there?
We do. It's the biggest and oldest area of around us. Fort Myers was the fastest growing area of Florida, of Southwest Florida in general. It was a site. It was a huge site during the Seminole Indian Wars. It was a small factor in the southernmost battle of the Civil War. So we have some history dating as far back as Gasparilla.
Yeah, there was something like 1, 2, 3, 4. There's three fort sites in Fort Myers area and another 2 or 3 in the Naples area.
Right on.
And
so
then, of course,
what did you think of that picture, Edward?
I just sent it over to Eugene. That was bizarre, man. That was definitely a trip.
I didn't even notice it until I was just going through my stuff afterwards, after the investigation itself.
You usually don't.
Yeah, I don't usually. I like when the place is blind. I don't know, like you guys like to do the history of the place before. I always like try to do the history afterwards. I want to go there as blind as possible when I go into my investigations. So I know whatever I'm experiencing can be real and it can line up whatever is in the history books or you looking it up online afterwards. That's me personally. That's what I like to do. I don't know what you guys feel about that.
No, I'm actually the opposite. I want to go in as informed as possible so that I can get the most out of the time that we have there, because there's not always a guarantee that we can be back.
Right.
Actually, 2020 is a perfect example. We were supposed to have a lot more planned this year, and COVID-19 attacked.
Yeah, completely killed everything that we had going on.
Yeah, it really wrecked our schedule this year.
Yeah, the only person we send in cold is Jenna, because she doesn't want to have any information that's going to influence what she picks up on.
I'm the same way. I don't like knowing anything about the investigation. I just want to, like, whatever I'm feeling, be genuine with myself when I look it up afterwards. So I'm like, oh, I'm not crazy. Did you see Hensley's question?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
I can't say that there's one location because I travel around so much, and I actually have experiences go on in the truck. So it's really kind of hard to say. I mean, there's one night that I stopped and I'm laying in my bunk sleeping, and I could feel like a child's hand touching my shoulder, shaking me to wake me up. And
oh, wow.
Yeah, there's in my truck, there's obviously not a kid in here. So it was definitely a strange experience. And then there was another night where I stopped someplace and I could feel somebody tickling the small of my back.
Oh, no.
Like somebody's fingers were going just like this right on the bottom of my back. And of course, I rolled over thinking somebody gotten into my truck. and there was nobody there. I fired up the my digital recorder or the recorder on my phone and tried to do an EVP session, but didn't pick anything up.
All right, that's crazy. What about you, Gene?
Aside from the house I grew up in, probably the Moon River Brewing Company in Savannah, Georgia.
Right on.
We did an I've been there actually several times. I've investigated with the Savannah Afterlife team.
Right.
And because I collaborate with a lot of teams on the research side. And we were there, I think it was an investigation in 2017. Like I said, we've done a few, but this one in particular stood out. It was in October. We were doing a special where they had brought in a radio broadcast crew to go in with us so that we could walk them through, show them what we do. And they would broadcast it over the air to their listeners. So during that night, I mean, we never got a break. The activity was insane. We started out in the basement and we started out with an EVP session, and somebody came down the stairwell behind one of the hosts and you could see the curtains move. You could see somebody small, almost the size of a child, peek out and then run back up the stairs. But all you saw was like a small dark figure, and you saw the curtains move. There was no sound. Immediately after that, there were voices through the spirit box. We heard singing on the second floor, a woman's voice that continued on for several minutes, long enough for us to run up and down the stairs, inside and outside. We thought somebody was standing around singing, and we were trying to make them stop so that they didn't mess with our equipment. It was that clear. And then at the very end of the night, and this is the most heartbreaking story any investigator could ever hear. At the very end of the night, it's 4:00 in the morning. We have to be out by 5 because the crew is coming in the morning to brew the beer. It's a brewing company, so we have to be out by 5.
All right.
The lead investigator comes. He pulls down the camera that is covering this one room.
Yeah.
He says, guys, you got to wrap. You got to be out. There's 3 cameras covering one room, 2 handhelds and a stationary camera. As soon as the stationary camera comes down and we turn around to leave, one of the chairs that one of the investigators was sitting in slides clear across the room. And not a single camera or any of the voice recorders that were stationed in the room caught it.
That's awesome.
I mean, it was great to witness. It was amazing to witness. Two out of the 3 investigators in the room actually saw it. I was one of them. I actually saw it with my own eyes.
Right.
But and
it was on camera. But sometimes the personal experience is like worth more than anything else in the world because it's something that's genuine just to you. It doesn't matter whatever people else thinks. You know, that's 90%.
It was great, but I just wish they hadn't waited for the cameras to come down.
Yeah, like next time, could you just wait?
Gene and I are actually negotiating on going there together and doing another episode there.
That's awesome, guys. I mean,
yeah, we're trying to get there next
do it, and I'll watch you guys whenever you guys post it on your YouTube or whatnot. Oh, by the chance, what is your YouTube channel? Can you guys write in the chat? And I'll just put it up again?
If you put in the search bar Over the Road Paranormal, it comes up.
Okay, Over the Road Paranormal.
Yep.
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna put that on there.
Okay.
You must be a truck driver then, huh, Edward?
Yes, that's where the Over the Road comes from, is because I'm driving truck and I'm traveling all over.
I hear that. I used to be a truck driver.
I keep trying to used to be a truck driver, but I keep getting dragged back into it again. So.
Now I'm a manager of them. So.
Well, I keep getting out and I get into construction, or I mean, I've been on a couple of circuses and I've been on carnivals, and I've been a cook, I've been a CNA, so I've done a lot of different things.
Right on.
Oh, thank you, Christina.
Thank you, Christina.
Yeah. Gene, did you get a chance to look at that picture?
I did.
What do you think of that? Can you debunk it?
I'm not sure if I got the whole picture or not. Ed, did you send me? Am I getting the whole picture?
I sent you everything that was on my screen. I don't know. Boston actress is trying to find an answer to something, but I can't figure out what question she's.
I don't know.
Hunting to.
I think I only got a small section of the picture. I'm not seeing the whole picture.
Oh, okay. I know what she's referring to now. Let me scroll back up to it.
Okay. I'll send it to you guys afterwards.
Okay.
No, probably.
Unless you want to send it, yeah. I mean, you can send it. I have a separate one, or I can. If I log in, it'll kick Ed out. So.
Well, that'd be awkward. All right, what's your Twitter then?
Or well, if you want to, you can send it to paranormagene@gmail.
All right. Okay, that works too.
Okay, Boston actress said, I was at a house today and the people that rent it just found out a 12-year-old boy was murdered there in 1997 by a 17-year-old kid. They had no idea. They also said they have no activity. And she wants to know why. And the best answer I can give you, Boston actress, is just because something violent happens and a loss of life occurs doesn't necessarily mean that there's going to be a haunting or there's going to be some kind of a spiritual energy dump. And because we have no guarantee, we have no certain answers on what goes on after we die, we really can't say that, if I died right now in this truck, that this truck would be haunted. We can't make those kind of assumptions when it comes to any kind of spiritual activity because we just don't know yet. If they don't have any, if they're not witnessing any spiritual activity, it's probably when the child passed and he wasn't attached to the area, or he went if he did remain behind, he may have moved on to an area that was more friendly to him. I hope that.
Can you check your the personal message, the personal chat?
I hope that answers your question at least a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we never know what's going to happen. Like, we can't really answer everything, because you don't really know what happens when you die, Is
it harder for children to cross over or no? There's no way to tell. I mean, we can't tell how it's going to be for anybody. I mean, we don't have the technology to advance us that far in our knowledge. This is still a baby science that we're still trying to figure out. We're using tools and techniques that are designed for something completely different and trying to apply it into a scientific manner on something that's never really been thoroughly studied before.
That's kind of why we do what we do. We're trying to figure out the why. Why does it happen with some events and not with others? Why do some people leave an imprint while others don't?
Right. Definitely.
Some of your viewers ask really good questions, I tell you.
Yeah. We do have the best viewing people, so
yeah, definitely.
We definitely.
I don't think I've ever seen the comments before on the other shows that I've watched. So it's like this is kind of neat to see them asking questions.
Right. That's why I try to use the StreamYard app, like where everybody can see everything. You know what I'm saying? It's not just like one person seeing it. I mean, I think it's a great.
I got my AC turned on way too cold.
I hear that. You got a television and everything like that? Little television.
Oh yeah, I got TV. I got DVR. I got a refrigerator. Got a microwave, which I just made my coffee in.
Nice.
And I'm back. Yeah, I mean, I live in this thing 28 days at a time, so it's like it's got to have everything. It's got to have all the basic creature comforts.
Oh, definitely, man. I will never be over the road again. I know that. And if I lost my job right now, I wouldn't be over the road again ever.
I got my mini studio back here, so I can green screen if I have to.
All right. So I got a question for you guys, and you guys tell me what you guys think of this.
No.
Okay, we got his answer.
Well, I mean, he's already like me. I would have done told you no also.
No, wait a minute. He could have been inviting us somewhere, Ed. You know, let's clear him out.
Well, usually somebody's asking me for money, so I always say no right away.
No, do you guys honestly? Do you guys believe that you guys can get evidence anywhere?
Well, like I say, I refrain from using the word evidence because evidence is a conclusionary word.
All right. You can come up with theories or get stuff that you know.
You can collect data just about anywhere.
You think
that?
So?
I believe, yes.
Now, you're attached to something, and that's why you're always going to get data everywhere, or do you think it's like no matter where you're going to go, you're going to?
I think it's just an unseen world that surrounds us.
Yeah.
I believe that too, but now as far as whether or not you can get paranormal data, paranormal meaning only meaning outside the realm of normal, not meaning, spiritual activity.
Yeah.
Whether or not you can get paranormal data anywhere, no, I don't really believe that, but you can sit in your own living room and collect data, and you can use it as almost a baseline reading to compare other data to. So, but like Ed said, yes, I do believe that there is an unseen world all around us.
Not in my living room.
Whatever helps you sleep at night.
No, my house is pretty haunted, but it's calmed down a lot. Like when we first bought it, it was like insane. I had a mirror. I was like walking down the stairs, and we had a painting hanging up on the wall, and it was like in glass and everything like that, in the glass frame and everything like that. Next thing you know, we hear wah, 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 and the painting literally flew off the wall and like smashed and like came about that close from hitting me. We used to have the dishwasher used to pop open, and like the door would come out and everything like that, and like the door handles in the hallway would jiggle and everything like that. But it's really calmed down quite a bit. Like, and then been here about 4 years now. So they pretty much accepted us. We're friends. We got a little kid. Like, it's pretty neat now.
Well, you're kind of getting into energy transference because the energy existed in the house before you moved in. Now that you've lived there and you've established your own energy, you forced it out.
Yeah. And could be. And I don't know the history of this house or anything like that, because it's like, this house was like literally in the middle of the city, like somewhere far away from here. And they moved half the house here. Then they just put like a bunch of add-ons onto it. It's really weird. Like the structure, trust me, I'm like remodeling my kitchen right now. It's a nightmare. Actually, I opened up the wall today and I was ripping up the floor and everything like that. And I accidentally poked a hole in the wall. I look in there and there's a bag. I'm like hoping it's like money. I'm like, please be money.
No, it's 2020. It's not going to be money.
No, you know what it was? It was a bag of chips. It was a bag of chips. I'm like, what the hell is this?
Well, if they were poker chips, that'd be a good thing.
Yeah, it'd be cool if it was poker chips. No, it was
casino
a bag of glazed potato chips. I don't know when. I didn't look at the expiration date. I was like, oh, son of a bitch.
But if you would have told me, I would have dared you to eat one just for the heck of it.
Hell no. I don't eat chips anyways. Here, I'm going to put that up on the screen. Here we go. I'm going to put 2 of these on the frame.
Do you think you should get activity every time you go on an investigation? No.
No,
I don't think so either. Not every place you're going to have, or like, it all depends on like what type of energy is actually in the place at that time that you're going to. A lot of different things could come into it. The weather could come into it. What type of energy, if somebody's going in there being a dick, spirits or whatever are just like human beings. They have emotions. If they don't want to talk to you, they're not going to talk to you.
Right. You can't compel a person to do something. Don't expect a spirit to do it.
Right on. Here, I'm going to put that one on. And
okay, well,
yeah, it sucks. I don't want to hear footsteps everywhere I go. I hate that, man. I have a history of like waking up in the middle of the night and just like hearing random noises and stuff like that. I'm like, I'm going back to bed because most of the time it's just my dogs.
Actually, I want to share a little bit about that. The footsteps part. There was an interesting piece that I learned a while back, and I carried it with me into investigations. And it was the haunted house that I live in, that I inherited. And I call it my wood floor phantom. Here in Florida, we have awful humidity, and we have very, very small limited winters. And when I say limited winters, we might get down below the 50s, maybe 2 or 3 days a year. And there were times when I was living by myself where about half an hour sometimes after I went to bed, I would hear somebody walk into my room. And after a while of hearing it, I actually did figure it out. And it has to do with some of the very, very thin, cheaper laminate wood floors and the underlayment. If the wood floor isn't laying flat on the underlayment and you're walking across it, and I don't pretend to know anything about construction. I just figured this out on my own through trial and error. So I don't understand why it does this. Maybe somebody who's better in construction or with floors, maybe you can explain this better than I can. But I figured out that I can walk across the floor on a cold day, and half an hour later, after the floor heats up, it will retrace my footsteps. And
that's just because of the temperature in it. It's like going to be expanded, like how heat expands and cold shrinks. I mean,
it just doesn't do it with every floor, but it does it with the thin Pergo vinyl flooring.
Yeah.
And it's about half an hour, and you can hear your own footsteps.
That's why they say with like vinyl flooring that you should, before you put the flooring into your house, like install it, you should buy it like a week before and have it get accustomed to the temperatures in your house before you actually install it.
I guess they didn't do that then because I thought for a while.
I'm just being straight up, like, I'm redoing my floor right now. If you go into my kitchen, it's all ripped up. It's a nightmare.
I'm going through some changes too, but yeah, for a while I thought somebody was following me to bed, and it took me a while to figure out it was my own footsteps.
You're like, oh, well, this just got awkward.
Well, I mean, there's some things you just absolutely cannot explain in that house, but that one was fun to figure out. So,
thank you, Paranormal Static. You rock too.
Thank you very much.
No, we appreciate your time. And make sure you hit that like button.
And come visit us.
Yep. So, what you call it? Do you guys? All right. Here's another interesting question for you guys. Do you guys believe in apps?
Yeah. Like phone apps?
Yeah, like the Necrophonics, the Rasputin.
No. The only app that I actually use is called what the hell is it called?
It's a ZMF meter.
The only thing it does is oh jeez, I hate it when I get a brain fart like that.
He uses his phone as his EMF meter.
Yes. The only thing that it does is read EMF, and I'm constantly checking it to make sure that it's not giving false signals or any kind of programming. But the only thing it does is read electromagnetic pulses that come in onto the phone's compass. It's the only thing it does. It doesn't make any sounds, doesn't make any voices or anything like that. It just reads a digital readout.
Yeah, and I'm a little too skeptical when it comes to that, just because, like I said, my husband's a computer programmer, and he has worked on many phone apps and tablet applications, both on iOS and Android. And I have heard apps that generate false data. So with it just being so easy to falsify that kind of, falsify sounds, falsify information, I'm not sure I trust it. I'm very old school when it comes to investigation techniques. I want to see the data myself. I want to record the data myself. So
that's why, I'm the same way. I don't really I'll have fun with it if we've done a couple episodes where we use necrophonics and stuff like that and see what type of responses we get. It's fun. It's entertainment, but I don't take it as in that's proof or anything like that, because it's made by man.
Right.
It can be falsified. The best type of evidence I like is either visual or through an EVP recorder. You can't fake that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And that's me. I also when I go into a new place or something like that, I'm always going to sweep it first before I even bring any equipment in there. Sweep it as in going there with a K2 or EMF, if there's only knob and tube wiring or anything that can explain what's going on with the place before. Oh yeah, it's haunted, That's just me personally, man.
You never know what's going on. You could have something there. There was a house in Massachusetts. Actually, it was an article I read from a paranormal team. It was several years ago. They did an investigation for a family. It was a family of 5, two adults and 3 young children. And just the claims were phenomenal. Shadow figures, sightings of people walking around, rapping noises, things moving. The people would put something down, it would disappear. Strange noises all night long, hearing music. And what it actually turned out to be was a leaky furnace, and it was carbon monoxide poisoning. They were hallucinating. So if you don't go in and you do those readings, you don't know what kind of environment you're walking into. You need those EMF readings. You need to know what kind of, even, the air, the environmental readings you're walking into. Without getting that baseline, you don't know what kind of situation you're walking into.
Yeah, I went to this place. It was a private investigation. I was contacted and asked to come over to this place to check out, to prove that it was haunted. They got really mad when I proved that it was not haunted. They had literally a power room, and their staff was saying they always feel like they're being watched when they go in there, and it's uneasy, and they're hearing all these noises. I'm like, no wonder why. You're basically walking into all these magnetic fields. You're gonna feel like somebody is watching you. You're gonna feel uneasy. You're gonna feel tipsy.
Mm-hmm.
Look what's around you.
Right.
And I got
just recently we got sent a video clip from a woman out in California who was absolutely convinced that she had a demon running around in her house and it was attacking her dogs and everything. And the video clip she sent me was of her husband, and he was doing something in his little office space, and a table fell over and knocked everything off onto the floor. But he didn't react at all. And I said, okay, I'll take a look at it. I pulled the video in and I looked at it, and I pulled it in close, and what was happening is he was turning his chair, and he hit the back of his chair, hit the end table, and tipped it over. That's why he didn't react. But she was absolutely convinced that some demon had flipped that table over. And so it's I actually had to spend several hours with her on the phone and talk her through the whole situation and explain to her that it was her husband had an accident.
There we go. This is their Twitter channel. Make sure you guys hit the little button, give them a follow, show the love and support, guys.
Yep.
All right, we go. But I've been into places like that. They get mad. I've been on numerous. I don't do private client cases anymore very much because some people are crazy.
Yeah.
And they'll just contact you all the time because They think there's demons there, and there wasn't really anything there. You know?
And if they don't get the results they want the first time, you need to come back.
Yes, and they want you to keep on coming back and keep on coming back, and then you just like, I asked them like, what type of religion are you? You know, because I'm not going to assume they're Christian. I'm not going to assume, you know, and they said they were Christian, and I lined them up with a Baptist priest to go over and bless the place. They didn't like that too much either. So I was like, I
actually had one right before I joined with Ed. They had an autistic son who was talking to somebody at night. So they were convinced that it was paranormal. And we did the baseline readings. We came out, we checked everything we could. We got no activity. They had a strange, shady roommate that they swore brought in something dark. And they said that after that, their son started talking to this entity at night. Well, their son was almost 5 years old and was autistic. So, you know, of course, he's of the age where he's going to start talking and start having imaginary friends, start making things up. And he's of the age where if he doesn't want to go to bed, he's not going to go to bed.
Yeah.
We found nothing.
We all done that.
We've all done that.
Yes.
I'm going to take myself off camera for a couple minutes. My son just got home from work. Just give me like 2 minutes, guys.
All right, we'll be here.
All right.
Yeah.
We're going to count down.
Brandon, it's your moment to shine. Show off that new mic of yours.
Okay, hang on.
Dazzle us, Brandon.
Careful, your wife's going to throw a book at the back of your head.
No, it's just, I mean, I agree with some parts of it where you have to debunk everything before you walk into the situation, because you're not going to get activity everywhere you go.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just common sense, but I don't know.
I think it also helps to know what you're going into so that I think it helps for you to know who you're reaching out to. Mm-hmm. If there's a heavy child presence, you bring toys. If there's no child presence, you don't. We had one recently, actually a recent investigation at the university that we did. This sightings, the security officers were seeing what they claimed was a Civil War soldier walking through a wall from a courtyard into a building. And the activity there wasn't necessarily from or the area wasn't necessarily rich in Civil War history, but had more activity, may have been more active during the Seminole Wars. So we brought in, we did it the day before. It was July 3rd. It was our investigation, and there were fireworks going off.
Yeah.
And we said, does this sound like gunfire to you? And that's when we started getting responses, and it actually had a Southern twang to the voice that came through on the spirit box. And he said, we said, does it sound like gunfire? Is it scaring you? And it said, yep. And, we didn't have toys out. We were speaking to, it sounded like a man's voice. So that's when doing the research ahead of time helps. So if you go in blind, you're not necessarily, I think, getting the most out of the time you spend investigating.
True.
Yeah.
Go
ahead. Some of the stories that we got, we didn't get a chance to actually investigate because under the COVID-19 restrictions, we couldn't go into the building.
Mm-hmm.
So we did the best work that we could, and we still had some pretty interesting things happen.
Oh, yes.
Sometimes you're going in blind, though, it actually gives you the experience of what they're actually talking about or how legends tell you it is. That, or also, if you know all the information, sometimes you won't get all the information out of them. Because like here, we've got a tunnel. And I mean, local legend always says that the family owner went psycho, killed his whole family, but there's 3 or 4 different versions of the whole story. And every time we go down there, we hardly have anything. it's a creek runs through it. You're not going to understand all of it, but everyone still goes because of what they're reading. So maybe my theory is if you don't go in blind and you know the information, you're not going to get everything because you already know what's happened. And the spirits are probably tired of everybody coming down there bugging the living crap out of them. So they're not gonna show themselves if people keep showing up and defacing everything.
And maybe those people who are showing up, so much of it can be urban legend.
Mm-hmm. That's all it is urban legend.
Well, it seems like every tunnel there is out there has got like some kind of witch or monster or spook or something going on with it. It's always an interesting catch-22.
Well, we ran into one of the owners that actually owned the land that was a relative to the family, and he's lived there his whole life. He's never seen or heard anything, and even his own parents said that there was nothing going on in there. So right there, it just tells me, well, we're going to debunk this, and we're going to try to figure it out.
Oh, quick, he's back.
Hello. Welcome back.
Everybody stop talking about that.
Oh, that just got awkward. I'm going to leave again now.
No, we're really close, so.
Oh, you guys are like best friends now? Trade each other's numbers? Makes sense. I'm kind of jealous.
I mean, I have been in your house a couple of times, so.
Couple. But hey, I got a quick question for you guys. And I have this theory that children are more connected to spirits than adults are. I think that everybody's born with some sort of like empathetic, or I'm not saying it right, but some sort of like a medium type of thing where they connect with the dead more than adults do. And that's where children's imaginary friends come from. And some adults lose it as they get older. What do you guys think about that theory? And you can all say I'm crazy and full of shit, but I mean, I don't mind, honestly.
I am not sure how to address that because I didn't have imaginary friends. The people I was speaking to, it turns out, were real. I just was the only one who could see them.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like when they say imaginary friends, like nobody else can see them, type of thing.
I mean, I guess my situation may be a tally on the proof side of your theory, when I was younger, I did have people around me that, just to me, they were just, adults around the house. They were other family members. I just didn't know that I was the only one that could see them.
Right.
So yeah, I guess that is a valid theory.
Right. What do you think, Edward?
I think it's a completely plausible theory. Because children aren't filled up with all the, well, not so much these days because from kindergarten to third grade they're already getting sex education classes, so they're not able to enjoy being children.
Right.
Back when we were kids, when Gene was kid, when we were all younger, we weren't involved with all the technology and the finances and all the crazy adult stuff as children. We were allowed to be children, be part of the world, absorb nature naturally. So I think a child is very, very much more open to receiving that kind of input because they're not so filled up with the day-to-day weights that we have to deal with.
Yeah.
I think it's sad to see that we're moving away from it with our kids because we're slamming so much technology on them, and we're forcing them to become mini adults instead of actually letting them be children. so they're missing out on the natural world that we could all enjoy.
Yes. I'd make my son go on vacations with me out in the wilderness with no technology. So he loves me for it.
Technology is corrupt to the younger generations.
Yes, technology definitely has. I know me personally, like when I had my first paranormal experience when I was a very young child, so I've always had this ideology of like, that explains it, And of course I did carry it over when I was an adult and stuff like that, but I've always been fascinated with the paranormal and like UFOs and stuff like that, Bigfoot, Mothman, Loch Ness
all the
Monster,
urban legends.
All there.
I love all that stuff, so I'm weird.
It's all waiting to explore. It just needs somebody to look into it and do it seriously, and not try to become a TV personality over it.
Yeah, I ain't trying to get famous, man. I won't ever want to be famous. I hate most social media. I hate everybody except for Brandon.
Well, my feeling is, if I'm going to be famous, I want to be famous for doing it right. Bringing the truth, to bring factual truth and scientific facts to the light. I don't want to be I'm going to say his name here, and some people are going to get very upset, but I don't want to be another Zach Baggins and go into a place and scream and holler every time something goes off.
Oh, ain't that like true?
Yeah.
And I understand a lot of people like him, and they're really big fans and fanatics over Zach.
And our viewers just dropped to 0.
Yeah. and because of his popularity, he's brought a lot of things to light, but he hasn't gone about it scientifically.
Exactly.
I like Jay and when they first started out, Jay and Grant with Ghost Hunters.
Yes.
Back in like the late 90s, early 2000s.
I like Jay and Grant, but at the same time, they still fall short because they're still doing it on the publicity end.
Yeah.
They do a show, they collect, they show a bunch of data, and they say there's evidence, and then they walk away from it.
But on their defense type of thing, they have to do that to get viewers. People aren't going to watch it if they're going in there. So that's why they have to be like, extra.
Yeah.
And I don't like that. But it just sucks when you see a lot of people that are doing it, like, and they're putting their stuff on YouTube and they're being extra just because that's what they see. That's a way they're
copying what's on mainstream television, and that's where a lot of conflict comes in because everybody wants to do the entertainment value of it instead of it.
Well, and that's what television's for. Is entertainment.
Now, Gene, with your husband being a computer programmer and camera and everything like that, how come he hasn't made you an SLS camera?
He has.
Awesome.
He has.
If I had a spouse that could do all that and stuff like that, I'd be like, guess what you're doing tonight?
He's actually extremely smart, and he loves the technical side of it. And I keep telling him he's on my team whether he likes it or not. He keeps saying no, he's not.
He's been conscripted just like Gene was.
Yes. So, but whenever there is a problem with the equipment, or whenever I have an issue where something falls short of providing the data that I need, he always steps up to the plate and says, how can we do it better? Because that's what he does in his day job. He provides, he's a software architect, basically. Right. He builds software, and when he builds that software, his job is to step into someone's business or industry and say, how can we do it better? So whenever I'm working on my project and I'm falling short of the data I need, he's there saying, how can we do it better? He's even ordered individual IR bulbs so that we can expand our night vision range.
Oh, awesome.
And he's going to build us these, I guess,
floodlights.
That's a great way of explaining it, is basically an IR floodlight.
Nice.
So
you reach out for that. That's awesome.
I have 2 huge cases in my foyer because there's nowhere else in the house that they'll fit. I have huge cases of equipment that I carry around, and a lot of it has been either provided or thought up by him. Oh, but he's still a giant skeptic.
That's the best type, man. I love investigating with people that are skeptics,
But at least he's supportive.
Definitely.
Yeah. He's supportive, and yet at the same time he's a blast to go over this stuff with. I mean, we spent our honeymoon in all three of the hotels that we spent our honeymoon in were haunted hotels, and he booked them. So it was hard for me to not work on my honeymoon.
Definitely. Hey, that's great, man. Freaking can never you gotta have a partner like that that wants to go with you to do stuff and enjoys. I mean, I'm sure you do stuff with him too. I mean, that's great. So, Edward.
Yes.
All right. Do you ever when you're going on your trips and stuff like that? Do you ever just stop along the side of the road, just because you got a feeling and you want to check it out?
Oh yeah. I see places all the time because I'll actually go down the road and I'll turn on my the Google Maps and I'll just because I also have a GPS on my truck and I'll just look, and if I see something come up and a name catches my attention, I'll reach over and poke it, and if it comes up and there's something interesting, I'll put it in save, and then I'll either pull back in later and check it out, or like the night that I had the little hand shoving on my shoulder to wake me up, I had parked next to a cemetery in the middle of the night and didn't even know it was there. I pulled off an off ramp in Arkansas and parked on the side of the road and went to sleep. And the next morning when I woke up and I looked out the rearview mirror, I saw the cemetery off to the right side of the truck.
All right, on. That's awesome. I would definitely do that when I was going out and stuff like that. I mean, I'd be driving along the side of the road and be like, I'm going to take a little detour here because I want to go check this out.
Well, I used to, I'm actually producing the episode right now, the Apache Death Cave in Two Guns, Arizona.
Oh, awesome.
I used to go past Two Guns all the time, and I would see that little broken down ghost town off the side of the road. And I was always like, I wonder what that is. And one day I pulled in there and I looked and, of course, Googled everything, found out that there was the Death Cave was in there, and started filming an episode. And I got it right now. It's going through editing and analysis and getting all put together. My brother is actually doing some video analysis on it. He ran across something on the full spectrum video that he cannot figure out what it is. It's just some kind of distortion showing up in the film that he can't lock down what it is, and he's been bugging on it for about 3 days now.
So, what's your guys' dream investigation to go to?
Pardon me?
What's your dream investigation?
Dream investigation? Ooh, boy, there's so many.
Yeah.
I would have to say probably. Wow, they're just.
Go through your top 5.
Top 5
probably be easier because I don't know if I can rank them.
Yeah, right. I'd have to actually.
Trans-Allegheny is up there.
Been there.
Yeah, that's one. That's one.
The Villisca Axe Murder House.
Never been there.
Waverly Hills.
Been there.
Gettysburg would be one.
Yes. Yes, Gettysburg. The actual battlefield. I know there's a lot. I know there's the orphanage and the
one farmhouse there.
Yeah.
If you guys ever make it up that way to the Gettysburg, stop in Appomattox, Virginia, at the Appomattox Courthouse. Mm-hmm. Check that place out. You want to talk about walking into a creepy feeling? That's where the war was ended.
Right.
Where they actually came together and everything like that, and go through the whole history lesson and actually go to the Appomattox battlefield itself. Right. You guys will not be disappointed.
Yeah. I'm actually going to stop up and see. I don't know if you know him, Jimmy Boots Finfera.
Sounds familiar. Is that Jimmy the Explorer?
He runs Haunted Man Productions. He's up by York, Pennsylvania.
Huh.
And he's got like massive amounts of spiritual activity in his house, and he also has Sasquatch activity.
Oh, really?
So I've actually been talking with him. I'm gonna stop up there, and we're gonna do a couple of different episodes on both of those with him.
That's awesome. Honestly, that's really cool. I want to go to down in West Virginia, where they have the Mothman and excuse me.
Oh, Pleasantville.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, where they have the Mothman and paranormal, like they have a Native American burial ground type of thing. I want to check that out, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely, if you ever have a chance, definitely check out Waverly Hills. It's like probably one of the most haunted places I've ever been to.
Really?
Definitely worth the money. I know it's a little bit pricey, but well worth it, honestly. Like, it's so worth it. And especially if you go to the building between, like, you know, get the full 12 hours or 8 hours session, definitely do it. Trans-Allegheny, I've done the main building and I've done one of the side buildings. It's hit or miss.
Right.
And I've done like we didn't have too much. We had a couple things come through the SB7, but not too much. And then a lot of personal experiences though there.
Right.
In the side building. St. Albans, we've had done a couple investigations there. It's not too bad. Sweet Springs, definitely worth going, honestly. Like, had a lot of great activity at Sweet Springs.
I want to stop up at Mansfield Prison.
Yeah.
Yes. Mansfield, yes.
Yep. Yeah, the West Virginia State Penitentiary. Yeah, been there. So
my brother and I are going to go do the Juliet Prison.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yep. Because he goes by it all the time. He's like, we got to go do that one. I said, all right, I'll get a run up there. We'll go do it. If they got room to put both trucks in the parking lot, we'll go.
Make way for a van. Yeah. I'll join you. Sloss Furnace. It would be great to get into Sloss Furnace.
Oh yeah, Sloss
in
Furnace.
Birmingham.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. What about Bob Mackey's?
Oh gosh, the music hall.
Yes.
Up in Wilder.
Yeah, because I want to go see the spot where Zach was down there screaming in pain because something scratched his back.
Just to debunk and see if he really did happen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can't blame him. He was trying to make money. But of all the celebrities that I've talked to about working on a collaboration, the only ones that I've actually gotten a response back has been Josh Gates and Nick Groff. And both of them are very generous and said yes. Someday we can do something like that. And and Josh I really like because he's actually a scientist. I mean, he's a qualified archaeologist. I mean, so he's actually in the scientific field. So even though he does things sensationally wise, he does do the background research, and he's very well educated.
Oh yeah, I love watching stuff.
So I mean, and he's funny. And then Nick is definitely more grounded than the rest of the GA team.
Yeah.
And I mean, he got kind of a raw deal on all the shows that he did, but he's still a very nice guy.
I've never collabed with anybody famous, but that's okay with me because I ain't trying to get into that whole. You won't like me, like Omar Gosh. I think he has me blocked on Twitter and stuff like that.
Well, I've been blocked by Adam Berry, and I've been blocked by Chip Coffey. So.
I've been blocked by that guy from Psychic Mediums. What's that dude's name?
Psychic Kids?
Yeah, he's the main guy from that. Yeah, I've been blocked by him permanently.
It doesn't take much.
I know. And I wasn't even it's like whatever. Doesn't hurt my feelings. But check your email, Gene, and see if you got it now.
but Nick and Josh both understood the process that I was talking about, the collaboration of backing up the data that they've already presented. So it was nice to actually get some feedback from somebody in their circle, as you would, saying, yeah, it's like, we understand what you're going for.
Right, definitely. You feel validated, like a sense of accomplishment,
Well, not really so much that, but it's like, one of the things that I'm always trying to put out to people in the paranormal field when I approach them about doing a collaboration is, the only way that we're going to advance the science is if we work together. If we're constantly gnashing at each other or withholding stuff to ourselves, we're not going to get any farther. We're going to be too caught up in the whole Hollywood mindset of everything, and nothing's going to move forward. We're just all going to sit here and we're going to have our little YouTube channels, and we're going to pick them back and forth like a bunch of little kindergartners, and we're not going to get any answers unless we move forward.
Right, definitely.
There was one guy in Mississippi that went to an abandoned church and did an investigation, and he had some really interesting things happen, and he put it out there, and he's like, I got this, and I said, well, I would really be thrilled to do a collaboration with you to validate what you got. And he got all indignant. It's like, I don't need no validation. I know what I got. It's like, obviously I'm talking to the wrong person then.
Right. Yeah, there's people like that. And I know who you're talking about. I saw his videos and stuff like that. Were pretty cool videos, man. I know exactly who you're talking about. Brandon, you know, dude, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there's some people like that, man. I always collab with some people, but I want to see like how they are for vibe wise, if I can actually work with them or not. Because some people you agree to collab with and like you don't get nothing, It's like, I'm here. I drove all this way.
Well, like you guys are investigators. It's like, if I get up in your area, I want to do a collaboration with you on someplace.
Oh, definitely. I'll take you some good places. And I like going to, there's a courthouse in Hillsville, Virginia. Mm-hmm. And you can look it up. All you gotta do is contact the Historical Society, and you can investigate it for free. There was back in the 1800s, there was a shootout there, and they still have the bullet holes in the thing, and we got hell of a lot of evidence there or data there, like where the guy was screaming his name, and I'm like I said, when I'm cold, didn't have a clue, and he was like screaming his name and how many shots he fired and everything like that, and it was pretty wild experience. I had a camera hanging off the wall, for our DVR system. Mm-hmm. The camera flew off, but right before it flew off, you saw the flagpole just doing this type of thing. And it wasn't that much, and it could be debunked if we got the right angle where you could actually see below if maybe a cord was hitting it or something like that. But it's pretty wild. And the flag just went like this. Then the next thing you know, the camera fell. I was like, whoa, scared that shit out of me. I mean, I almost lost my soul right there.
That's like the thing with when the ghost hunters went to Alcatraz and they had the one camera that actually picked up and fell over. It's like if they would have set the cameras up to watch, they would have been shooting both ends of the hallway. They could have caught that on film.
Right.
But because they didn't, you can still plausibly falsify it by saying somebody stood behind it, picked it up, dropped it over.
Right. They actually had that at, and it was, again, the TAPS team had that at the Queen Mary, where they were recording one of the most active rooms on the Queen Mary, and they saw the bed covers being pulled off the bed. But upon reviewing the tape again, they saw that there was a tiny little section of the tape that just cut out.
Yeah.
And you could tell where it looked like somebody had paused the tape so that they could get behind the camera or perhaps behind the bed to pull the bed sheets off and then resume the camera.
Yeah, I saw that.
So that's why you want to have, you're not just recording the room, you also want to record the equipment.
Right. It was making a bad angle. I had it right above the door, facing the judges, and I had another one over on this side, but it was on an odd angle. We had 4 cameras in the courthouse, and it was pretty cool. I mean, I liked it, but there again, but it could be easily debunked too. So I just like whatever. I'm not gonna put it out there or anything like that. We had an experience. I got. You guys ever heard of the Avenel Plantation?
The who?
The Avenel Plantation in Bedford, Virginia.
No.
I'm not familiar with that.
Like, the girl in white. I got her on a picture of her with the full spectrum camera. It was pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, we didn't have nothing there that night. Honest to God, truth, like we didn't get nothing to the SB7, no EVPs, nothing like that. And then, like one of the guys that went with me, he caught it like on his full spectrum. I was like, "Whoa, that's so wild!"
Right. Like one of my favorite teams that I actually did a tag along with, Peace River Ghost Trackers out of Punta Gorda, Florida. Those guys have been to some really fantastic places. They caught some spectacular data. And some stuff they can't show because it's private residence, but their public stuff that they've shown, like when they've gone to the Queen Mary and they've gone to Myrtle Plantation and stuff like that, it's just been unbelievably neat stuff.
I mean, I want to go down to Virginia Beach, down to the Ferry Plantation here, whenever this whole Corona stuff in November goes away. You know?
I think everybody is kind of like, hurry up, Corona, end.
I want to I was so excited. Like the beginning of August, I did a collab with an awesome person, and the video of us is on her channel. It's like Investigate Videos. She was one asking questions earlier. Phenomenal investigation. We had like a lot of good times, but definitely check it out. It's like a pretty cool place. You'll see what place it is. I'm not going to say it. She don't really like people telling what place it is before they watch the video. So, but it was pretty wild.
We had, before the whole Corona thing hit, we had a lot of really good investigations lined up. Like we were going to go to Coercion State Park, where there was oh, now I'm drawing a blank again. we were going to go to St. Augustine, to the lighthouse. We were going to do.
I got canceled.
So many places closed down, and it just killed us on everything. We couldn't even go back to the cemetery because we had to have. The city of Fort Myers requires that you have
a police escort,
protection, police escort, and of course that costs money. But because of the Corona thing, we couldn't get the police in because of the whole mask and 6 feet thing and all of that nonsense.
Oh man! So hopefully all this stuff goes away and everybody can just go about their merry lives. You know, it's like let me be me.
We know it's all going to disappear after November 3rd. So
that's what I said.
Like, boom. The whole time, haven't we, Jay?
Yes. We're going to have an argument with people over it. It's not good.
Oh yeah.
You can go watch season 1 for that.
Go back and reflect on what all we've dealt with.
Like the load that I picked up, I was at an outdoor dock, and I had a guy kept coming up to me and telling me I had to put on a mask. It's like, dude, I'm outside. I don't need a mask. There is a mandate regulation or law that says I have to wear a mask outdoors if I'm more than 6 feet away from anybody.
I love walking going down the road or something like that, seeing the people wearing masks and gloves while they're driving down the road. I'm like, boy, you guys are get some of that Corona, aren't you?
Let's just not breathe our own air conditioning.
Yeah, right?
Get 90-degree weather. How about that?
But no, it was a great time you guys being on the show tonight, and I had a good time. I know, Brandon, you did too. Your message. Yeah. Jean, did you get that picture?
I did, and it is very interesting. So I am looking at it now. I'm not 100%. I can't say right now what I see because I can't tell distance from the camera.
Right. Yeah, I couldn't tell you how far I was away either because I didn't see it until I was reviewing my stuff afterwards.
Do you remember what it was the camera was aimed at?
I was just taking random pictures of the woods. Like I was trying to get like something along the trail.
I'll be right back. I got an emergency message.
That's okay.
So that what your camera is pointed at is a wooded area right now.
Yes. That's all. It's in the middle. The bike path itself is right in the middle of the battlefield. It's right in the middle of Hanging Rock Battlefield in Catawba, Virginia.
Because it looks almost like it almost looks like you took a close up of a bunch of spider webs.
No. No.
So,
but on the trail.
yeah. Oh, yeah. But it does look like he's marching right through the middle of them.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought it was wild. I'm like, no way. Like, you can't distinguish, like, can't make out facial features or nothing like that. But it looks like an outline of a Confederate soldier or a Union soldier.
I'm back.
Hi.
Dispatch said my reefer was off, so I had to go out and make sure that it was still running.
Good times.
Can't have the banana spoiling.
No. But anyways, I enjoyed having you guys on tonight. Stay on afterwards after we end, talk a little bit. One last time, I'll put you guys' on YouTube. Over.
I want to thank all your viewers for tuning in.
All right, this is their YouTube channel. Make sure you guys all sub to them, give them a like, a couple of their videos. Go check them out. And then
we've only got one video up, but we're gonna put more on.
All right, and they're at their social media.
We have a webpage. We have Twitter. We have Facebook.
There you go. Facebook is the devil.
If you have a team, if you're an investigator, or even if you're just an enthusiast, drop us an email, send us a message on the webpage. We want to collaborate with anybody who is interested in advancing the science and having their stuff validated.
And we travel.
Yes, we do travel. Gina's my other traveler, so until we win the lottery, we get a truck, we can all move at the same time. You get somebody.
Yeah, we drove. It was crazy. We drove 7.5 hours down to Waverly Hills. Got a hotel room, slept for like 2 hours, went and did a 12-hour investigation, and we had this great idea because we're just kids again, I mean, I'm in my 40s. We're like, we're gonna drive all the way back. Holy shit, was that a mistake? I'm like, I made it to like the West Virginia state line. I'm sitting there. I'm blinking twice, seeing doubles. I'm like, I'm pulling over now.
No, I have a Monster subscription.
All right, but have a good night, guys. Much love.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
And.
Bye now.